he doesn't respond. His worker, like his servant, doesn't respond. He calls out to him again, and he doesn't respond. So now Imam Ali, he gets up, and then he goes and he asks him, "Ma man'aka min ijabati?" Why didn't you respond to me? The servant, you know what the servant says? The servant says, "Naam ya sayyidi, sami'tuka walakin kasintu anil ijaba." He said, basically, I heard what you said, but I was lazy to respond to you. I was a little bit lazy. Now imagine you have an employee or a servant who works for you, you call them, they don't respond. Or if you have a young child, you call him, he doesn't respond to you. And see, you get angry, right? But Imam Ali, he smiled. And firstly, look at, the man, he didn't say, "Oh, I was busy, I didn't hear you." He didn't lie. He didn't lie. He said, "I was lazy." Sometimes the truth is tough. It's not very clear. It's not a good truth. But he said the truth. Why did he say it? Because he said, I kasintu anil ijaba wa amintu uqubata. I was lazy to respond, and I know you're not going to punish me. I know you're not going to hurt me. I know you're not going to harass me. You're not going to be harsh with me. And then Imam Ali, he smiled and he says, Alhamdulillah alladhi ja'alani mimman ya'minuni khalqu. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's made me such that His creations, they feel safe with me. So this is the message. We should have this akhlaq that, we don't have to be like, when you become a boss, you want everybody to fear you. You want the servants to fear you. You want people under you to fear you. But Imam Ali says, no. You should be such, your akhlaq should be such that people, they are inspired by you. They love you. So that's the first message. Now, when we talked about Anwan Basri, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he gives him instructions on hilm, on forbearance. And he says something very interesting. He says, فَمَنْ قَالَ لَكَ إِن قُلْتُ وَاحِدًا سَمِعْتَ عَشَرًا. He says something very interesting. He says, if somebody says one thing to you, and he says one bad insult to you, and he says to you that if you say one thing to me, I'll say back 10 things to you. Meaning, if somebody comes and says, if you say something bad to me, I'm going to say 10 times worse to you. Sometimes we have those type of people. They come to us, they say, if you say something bad about my brother, then they would say something bad about your brother, your father, your mother, maybe your neighbors too. They might say something bad. So, what does Imam say? Imam says, if you meet such a person who insults you more, then you don't even give him one insult. If he insults you 10 times more, and he gives you 10 times the insult, you don't even insult him once. Please say salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajum. So this is the value of forbearance, of hilm. So if a person, now if he comes and he insults me, and not just once, but if a person, he insults me 10 times, what does the Imam say? Don't even respond to him once. And what's interesting is that's very hard to actually do. If somebody comes and insults you, you might roll up your sleeves. You might say 10 times more to him. You get angry. But Imam says don't even respond even once. And that is the difference between someone who truly follows the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. What we say in Hadith Kisa, محافل من أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا. So it says that there's two groups, Shi'atina wa Muhibbina. Now why did they say there's two groups? There's Shi'a and then there's Muhib. Because there's a difference. The difference is what? The difference is these qualities. If you want to be a true Shi'a, then you have to have these qualities of akhlaq. It's not just about love. It's about how much are the Ahlul Bayt in your life. How much do you reciprocate them? Please say another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajum. So now I want to give one more example, and this is a very famous example. A man from Syria, he comes and meets Imam al-Hasan. And when he comes, he learns, he's from the governorship of Muawiyah, la'natullahi alayh. He comes and he meets Imam al-Hasan. And then he says, salam. And then he finds out that this is Hasan ibn Ali. This is the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And what does he do? He immediately starts insulting him. He starts saying abusive language to Imam al-Hasan. He says, your father is this. Because why? Because in Sham, what did they do? If they went for Jum'ah prayers, they prayed, they did the salawat, and then they sent the la'na, astaghfirullah. But they send the curses on the family of Ahlul Bayt. They send the curse on Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he's brainwashed. And he comes. And what does he do? He starts cursing him. But now, look at what Hassan ibn Ali, what did he say? He says, firstly, he says, Ayyuha Shaykh. He talks to him with utmost respect. Because you're cursing me, that's your way. We are the Ahlul Bayt. We have our own way. He says, Ayyuha Shaykh. You are a stranger. أظنك غريبا. You are a stranger. إن كنت جاعيا أشبعناك. If you are hungry, we will feed you. وإن كنت عريانا كسوناك. If your clothes are dirty, you traveled a long way. You come from a long travel. You don't have clothes, you don't have provisions. I will give it to you. If you're hungry, I will feed you. If you need a place to stay, I have it for you. This is Hassan ibn Ali. وإن كنت تريدا آويناك. If you need a place, I have it for you. So now what this man does, he stays with him for 3 days. This man who was cursing him just seconds ago, now he stayed with him for 3 days. 3 days later, he says, أشهد أنك خليفة الله في أرضه. After 3 days, he says, I bear witness that you are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's representative on this earth. And he says, 3 days ago, I hated you and your father the most. 3 days ago, and today there is no one more beloved to me than you and your father. So he says, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You know why this is interesting? Because, in this day and age, a lot of people, they say bad things to Shia. There's social media wars, they say you curse him, and then they start, well, may Allah raise you with Yazid on the day of Qiyamah. I see them on Facebook or on Instagram, they're cursing each other. So, I think that, the idea is they have a wrong perception. A lot of the people who are not Shia, when I've interacted with them, they have a wrong perception. Like they think that the Shia have a different Quran. There's one man who actually came in Buffalo thinking that we Shias, we have a different Quran. So there was an alim, he took out the Quran from his pocket and he showed it to him. He said, where's the different Quran? He said, no, this is our Quran. You have Quran Fatima. So they had a different misconception. A lot of my friends, they didn't know what we do for Hussein. They don't know about the aza of Hussein. Now if we are mean to them, if we curse them, if we curse their personalities that they like, then how will they come? How will they see the love of Ahlul Bayt, the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt? We have to have those. We have to be the representatives of the Ahlul Bayt. Now, what's interesting? The Ahlul Bayt, they treated their enemies better than the way we treat each other sometimes. It's sometimes we see like Imam al-Hassan, he treated that Syrian man better than some of us how we treat someone who has a different marja'. You have a different marja', you follow this alim, you follow that alim, so we have ikhtilaf. For what? Now, Imam al-Hassan, even with someone in a different background, even someone who hates him, this is how he treats him. So now, I believe, brothers and sisters, somewhere along the way, we love Ahlul Bayt, but we lost their akhlaq. And I feel like we have to bring that back into our lives, and we have to bring that back into our workplace. So when somebody comes, they need to know, they say, you have to assimilate, you have to be just like everybody else. No, we're not like everybody else. You have to be different, we're different. Why? Because we are the lovers of Ahlul Bayt. If somebody sees us in our schools or workplaces, they should know that these people are honest, these people, they don't curse, these people, they don't say obscene language. Why? Because these are followers of Ahlul Bayt. This is how we'll represent our leaders, our imams. And now, Imam al-Hussein, he demonstrated hilm too. He demonstrated forbearance for his army. I mentioned the story. Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, he stopped his army. He stopped Imam al-Hussein's advance, and he says, you can't go any further. Imam al-Hussein, he sees that the army of Hur is thirsty. And then he gives them water. He gives them all water. There's 1,000 men and their horses. Imam al-Hussein gives them water. So this is the hilm of Hussein. And then we see on the other side, the cold hearts of the army of Yazid. When the army of Hussein, all of them, they had been killed. When Abu al-Fadl Abbas had been killed. When all of the personalities had been killed. And when Hussein, alayhi salam, had been killed, now you see what wolves these were, the army of the Ashqiya. Because now the women of Ahl al-Bayt, the daughters of Hussein, have no one to protect them. Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah. Sallallahu alayka ya ibna Rasulallah. Ya laytana kunna ma'akum sadati فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. The soldiers, they came, they started entering the tents of Hussein. According to riwayah, they came and they started burning the tents of Hussein. They started burning the tents, and then one of them, they see a 3-year-old daughter of Hussein. Her name is Ruqayya. They see this young girl, she has earrings. They see she has earrings, they snatch the earrings from her ears, and the blood starts streaming from the ears of Ruqayya. But then the soldiers, they start setting fire to the tents of Aba Abdullah. Zainab, she asks, Imam Sajjad, you are our Imam, what should we do? Imam Sajjad, he says, it is wajib on you to save your life, please save your life. They all come out of the tents. It is chaos. Hamid ibn Muslim, he said there is so much chaos, but there's one event that caught his eye. One scene caught his eye. قال رأيت سبية تتراكب في البيضاء. I saw a young girl come from the tents of Hussein. Her thawb was on fire. I see her thawb was on fire. Hamid ibn Muslim, he says, my heart is broke for the young girl. He says, قال فدنوت منها لأطفئ النار. I came to extinguish the fire. She became terrified. This daughter of Hussein, she became terrified. She was afraid. She says, Ya Am anta lana am alayna. Are you with us or are you against us? He says, I am neither with you nor against you. She says, who are you? Who are you? And then she asks him, I'm neither with you nor against you. He asks, who are you? He said, have you read the Quran? She says, yes, I have read the Quran. هل قرأت قوله تعالى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر. Do not reproach the yatim, do not reproach the orphans. And he asks her, who are you? She says, أنا يتيمة أبي عبد الله الحسين. رحم الله من نادى ومظلوما وحسينا. But it says, brothers and sisters, Umar ibn Sa'd's army, they asked Umar ibn Sa'd, do we want to keep the women and children alive? He says, yes, we have to keep them captive. The army gives them a bucket of water. Zainab salamullahi alayha, she takes the bucket. She doesn't drink, she gives it to Rubab. She gives it to Layla. They pass it around the children until it reaches Ruqayya. It reaches the daughter of Hussein. Ruqayya remembers when Zuljana, it came back to them after her father was killed. Zainab had asked Zuljana, Aina tarakta al-Hussein? But Ruqayya, she didn't ask where my father is. She just put her arms around the neck of the horse. She asked Zuljana, As-suqiya abi am qutilat shana. Did they give some water to my father or did they kill him thirsty? She takes the bucket to the battlefield. Oh my father, I have brought water for you. Rahim Allahu man nada wa imama wa Husayna wa ghariba. على لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. Please raise your hands for a short dua. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم اشفي كل مريض. اللهم اشفي كل مريض. اللهم اشفي كل مريض. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.